Yeah, hi. Today I'm going to explain you how our AngularJS code works in our application. So we have a three JS files. One is the app.js file, and second one is the controllers.js. This is right here, and services.js. So app.js is our root of our application. Under the app.js, we have controller.js and service.js. So app.js is the main root of our application. Controller.js will work as a controller and service will work as a service to interact with the database, to get the data, to fetch the data, like to insert data, all kind of database operations. So let us take a look how we organize and how we include our controller and the service into our application. So if you see here, so this is the root module of our application and we name it as the SPBurner app. SPBurner app. So we will use this name to include into our HTML file where we want to start our Angular module in our HTML file. Okay, let's see how I just included this Angular module into our HTML file. Okay, so let us take a look. Okay, I'm just navigating where I have included the Angular module. So I'm going to the code igniter. SPconfig, no, it should be in the views. So I'm going to views of a coordinator file. Under the views we have layouts. Under the layouts we have default.php. If you open the default.php of the code, in the HTML starting tag I just included the ng app SPBurner app. The name whatever you have given right here in the app.js file, that means the module name which you mentioned in the app.js file, that should be our root of AngularJS. So whatever the name which we have given here, it should become in the HTML file like this one. ng app is equals to this one. So if you include like this one, so you can use the AngularJS code in between these HTML open and closing tags. So it's kind of a scope of an object. So this is one object of Angular, like it's a root object. So we are going to use this object in between the HTML open tag and HTML closing tag. Okay. So like this is the object name. So whenever you are using this object, so we are specifying these are the modules which we are going to use as the dependencies. Okay, like, so if you have more dependencies, you can include by separator of like comma separator operator, like something like this one. Yeah. So currently we have only few of the dependencies. One is Angular UI router for routing our entire application, and second one is the Angular grid to to display our templates, list of campaigns, list of users in the grid format. So Angular UI grid is a predefined library we can use to display our list in the format of grid system instead of writing our own code. And coming to the third one is the Angular Bootstrap library we can use this library as like a bootstrap.js instead of using jQuery to suppose take an example. If you would like to open a module like module panel, like pop-up panel using jQuery, so we can use this Angular itself to open a module, or to do some kind of bootstrap JS files. So we are going to purely use the Angular as our front end scripting language, not to include the jQuery anymore. So with the help of Angular UI Bootstrap, we can avoid to include the bootstrap.js file and avoid to use the native jQuery functionalities here. Okay, and I just included a one more module here. The module name like is a controller module, and we are going to include as a dependency as a service, our application service like SPBurner service. If you see this one, this is our custom defined modules. Okay, this is our controller module and this is our service module. Okay, so whatever the name which we have given here, it should be matched with the controller module right here. Okay, and the same thing for the service as well. Whatever the name which we are giving here, it should be the same as in the service name. Okay, now let's coming to here. So till now we just define our main module name and included this module into our default.php file as the root of our application, root of our Angular application. Then under this module, under this module, we have included the dependencies like predefined dependencies as well as the user defined dependencies. So this is the dependency which we bought from the Angular UI framework. This is our controller module and this is our service module. Okay, so now let's talk about what's our life cycle of our application. So what happened when the page loads, how the Angular application start, which line of code. Okay, whenever the page loads, it checks the name of the module which we included right here at the top. Okay, so it checks this name and render this particular app. Okay, let's see this one. So it includes the UI router, UI grid, and bootstrap, and our custom control and our service. Okay, then okay, so then it will check for our controller name where we included in our default.html. Okay, so I have included our controller in other file instead of default.php. So I just included the controller name in welcome.php. Okay, not here. Yeah, I just included in the other HTML file. Okay, first we are going to see so how the routing will work. Okay, if you see this routing config, it's work like a routing in our coordinator application. Like we have seen lot of coordinator application, there we have a routing. So whenever you have a situation like suppose okay, suppose if you want to navigate to a particular URL like sp lessons slash admin or something like that. So admin is like we are going to navigate to the particular controller in our code igniter, the same way which we are going to routing the our application, like our Angular application, but like it's bit a little different than that one. So but the functionality behind this code is like the same which we have in the code igniter. Okay, so whenever you load the page, by default it comes like in like sp lessons, not like just sp lessons slash. So whenever application encounters this following URL, like slash as the URL, then it navigates to this particular state. Okay, so here if you see, whenever the URL is slash, then it will call these views. Okay, if the URL is like sp lessons, like something like, give me a second, if the URL like sp lessons.com slash templates, if you see this URL right here, so it means it is going to point this particular state because the URL ends with the templates. Okay, if you see here, the URL ends with templates. So whenever the URL matches to this particular state URL, then it automatically calls this function and include this view. Okay, now by default the Angular calls this function, like if you don't have any URL extensions, then it will check this slash as the like input, then it will call this particular state, the state name called app is the main like root of our application. Okay, it's like an index page. Under the index page we have templates, like just an example. Under the index page we have templates and campaign and user access. Okay, let me see, whenever the first stored state loads into our browser, what we are going to get. Okay, so whenever our application loads into our browser, it calls this particular state and includes the following content. Okay, so here we have different views. One is the header, and second one is the content, and third one is the footer. Okay, so if you see the welcome dot message underscore page p, okay, so I have included where the header need to goes, where the header content need to goes, where the like body content need to goes, and where the footer content need to be goes. Okay, like you just observe here the view, like UI underscore view is a predefined tag, like it's a directive which we are including with the name called header. Okay, so UI underscore view is a directive, predefined directive which we bought from Angular UI Angular UI router library. Okay, don't get confused. Okay, so the directive name called UI underscore view is a predefined directive which we bought from Angular UI routing. Sorry, it's a just routing. Okay, so here we have three views. One is the header, and one is the like body content, and second one is the footer. So what will happen here? Okay, so whenever the page loads, the page first like execute this like execute the following div, and then it will check this following directive and goes to the controller to execute, like goes to the router to execute, to include the content which we mentioned in our control like routing. Okay, so if you see this one, like the view name is header. Okay, so it goes here, and whatever like in the header view, we just mention what's the template, like what's the content which need to goes on the particular header part. Okay, so here the template is a predefined attribute to the particular view. So if like whatever you are mentioning here, it goes to the header section. So okay, so what will happen, like the header content, like whatever the header content we have in the header.html, so it grabs the content and put it in the particular div. Okay, if you would like to see the code behind the scenes, okay, let me see. Suppose localhost slash sp command one. Okay, it's our main routing directory, like it's a wrapper class. Under the wrapper class we have header state. Okay, if you see the header state, below the header state, all the navigation bar, yeah, all the navigation bar, like in the header we just use the header as the navigation bar, and some headers are header content. Okay, so this code is like, this code is coming from the HTML file which we mentioned here, right here. So whatever the code we have in the header.html file, it got injected into our header div. Then if you see this one, so under the wrapper, page wrapper, I just included the content and the footer. Okay, so if you see in the browser code, okay, so under the wrapper, okay, so we have content like ng view content and ng footer, like is a, this is the body view and this is the footer view. Okay, so under this div, whatever the content we have, in the particular HTML file, like content.html file, it gets injected into our div under this div, where the same thing happens to the footer div as well. Okay, so this is all about how the routing works in our application. Okay, so one more point, like okay, if you see this one, like it's our, I said, like earlier I said, it's a main view of our application. Okay, so template is a sub view. We like this type of organizing this application is called nested views. Okay, nested views means like this is the main view. Under the main view we have sub view called templates. Okay, and under the under the main view we have campaigns. Okay, now let us see how the URL will change between these states. Okay, so I'm in the like root folder of application. By default it comes with the slash and sorry, hash and a slash. Okay, so whenever I navigate to the templates, so this is our main state. Okay, whatever the content, like whatever the main body content we are seeing here is the main content. Like main content means main view, means app is the, like, sorry, app view. Okay, then coming to this one, I'm just navigating the templates. Okay, so whenever I click on templates, just look at the URL right over there. Yes, if you see this one, so it means it's a nested state. Nested state means like we have a main state. Under the main state we have sub state. It means like what we call sub view. Sub view. What is happen, like why we are maintaining the structure like this one? Because we are not going to change the header and footer section. We want to change only the content, like body content of our application. So with the help of nested views, we can able to achieve the our functionality. So what I'm doing here under the substate, like nested view, I'm going to change only the content of our application, not the entire header and the footer and all the entire page. Okay, if you see this one right here, whenever the main page loads, it gets included content.html. Whenever we navigate to the templates page, it's like template.html file is going to inject into our code instead of this one. The same thing happens to all the view, all the states, all the view means like state views. Okay, so this is all about today. So tomorrow we are going to see some other main functionality into our application of AngularJS.